Well, I've worked on 3 of his instruments so far, Mr. Stewart's instruments, and this is number 4. This is a Regal tenor dobro, I guess. That's the best I got. I don't know what I would call this. But he doesn't really want it to set up to play slide, which they do have a high nut on here, and that nut they just borrowed from a guitar, you can tell, and just stuck it on there. And it's too wide, of course, for this. But he just wants me to set it up to make it playable as a regular guitar. That may be a tall order for a short cook too, because the neck on this, the angle doesn't look great, but we'll do what we can. Here we go. My goal on most of his instruments is to do the least that I can do to just make them playable. On this one, these strings probably need to be replaced, but if they don't break, I'm probably just going to reuse them. For one thing, I don't have a set of strings that would really go on this. I'd have to mix and match and find and hunt and, you know, fish around until I got happy, and that one broke right there, first one. And I was loosening that, by the way, just in case anybody cares. They're just really rusty. I had a feeling that would happen. So I guess with that in mind, I'll just have to figure it out. Okay, because that first one broke just because I looked at it, I'm gonna just cut the rest of these off of here. We'll start fresh. I was making the comment that these strings are really never put on the way I recommend people put them on, because it makes them so much easier to change. Usually they're put on like these are, and they're run through the hole 2 times. You really should never need to run your string through the hole 2 times. And then Caleb reminded me, he said, well, they haven't seen your video because these strings were put on before YouTube was invented. And I went, oh yeah, no kidding. These strings have been on here quite a long time. I'm pretty sure they've been on there since Hector was a pup, and I don't know who Hector was. Okay, I got it off of there. The trauma is over with. Now I will see what I can do about restringing it and how bad it's going to be when I do that. Well, you know, if it was simple, it'd be simple, but it never is. When you first look at this, you think, well, it won't be too hard to do that, but then you look at this and you can see I can slide this pick under here anywhere. That's how bad it is. That pick is all the way under there, sliding on top of the frets, and it's not touching the ruler. So, and that's an 18 thousandths pick. You know, I'm going to say there's 30 thousandths worth of underbow there to the top of the frets, and that's just from the first fret to the last fret. Maybe more than that, actually, but I'd say every bit of 30 thousandths. I don't think it's quite 40, but it's real close to 40. There's 40 right there, and 40 does actually go under it in that spot. Yep, it does. We got that to deal with, and that would be bad enough, except that that's not bad enough. What's worse is that this neck heel is completely loose for at least up to about half of the length of this heel. In other words, about halfway up here, I can see all the way through it. There's no dovetail, so it must be a bolt-on. But the problem with that is, and you think, well, just tighten the bolt. No, that isn't going to cut it, because from here down, it's open. So if the bolt's up here, that's not going to fix this problem down here anyway. You know, it's not going to pull the neck down, the neck angle down. That's what it needs. It needs to pull this neck angle this way, and it's not going to do that if the bolt's up here. Yeah, it's just a mess. So I don't know where to go with this. I'm tempted to just put the strings on it and call it good, because that's basically what he wants. But on the other hand, it would be nice if the neck didn't wiggle woggle. I mean, like let me just show you. I'm not exaggerating here. Let me show you how bad this is. Bingo. So you can see that it just slides right up under there. Now, granted, it's probably a bolt on it. It's not glued on, so that's okay, I guess, except for the fact that it's just that loose. And just the least little pull opens this up even more. So it's really, you know, quite open. Here's again 40 some thousandths, and that'll start to go in there. It doesn't go in real easy, but that starts in there. So it's really loose. So what do I do about that? I don't know. Do I really want to take this whole thing apart to try to tighten that neck up? I guess I'm going to have to, because it doesn't set with me very well to put strings on this thing with that neck being that loose pulling up. It's going to break something, even with very light strings. And as I look at this closer, it really probably needs to come apart and be fixed anyway, because the tail piece is not down tight. It's out quite a bit. You can see it rocking there. You can see it lifting up and down as I press on the back of it probably. So it's loose. So it all needs TLC. Well, I got the screws out of it. Let's open this baby up and see how much fun we're gonna have. Complete with spider webs, dead flies. We got all of that. Oh my gosh, what I really don't like, they've got this nailed in. It's nailed in all around here. Yeah, I kind of wish I hadn't opened this up now. What do you do with that mess? I mean, it's crinkled. It's just a mess. It's a absolute, complete, 100% mess. I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to have to drop back 5 and punt, I think. The little homemade saddle is unique. It also, in that it kind of pivots and rocks this way because it's got a sharp edge that fits at this slot instead of going to the bottom and sitting flat in the slot, which is what it should do. Oh my goodness. We really are in for fun on this. The problem with the way this is with these nails in here is I'm definitely opening up a can of worms. You know, if I pull all the nails out to take this apart, who knows if it'll even go back together, you know, without rattling and making all kinds of crazy noises, and it's a mess. This is only the second one of these I've ever seen where the cone has been screwed down. The fender that I took apart years ago had all the little screws in this part, and normally you don't see that. Normally that's not done that way. I put them back because that's the way they were, but you know, on this one I'm definitely not going to be driving nails back in here if I get this apart. That's if I've got the guts to take it apart. I'm really not too sure I want to do that, but something's got to give because it can't be made playable the way it is. Well, I don't think I have many choices, so I'm going to find some way to pull these nails. Nails are driven down in there so hard, and they're down in that lip that it's hard to get to them. I can pull them out once I get them, but you can see how big they are there. They're just little tiny brad nails. I think that's the second one I got out, and there's a bunch of them. There's probably 8 or 10 at least, if not more. So I've got this little dental pick there with the little flat blade that I hammered out and sharpened. I can get that under the head of the nail and get it to lift just a little bit, and then I can reach it with my pliers. In this case, what I use for my fret pullers, and I can get them out that way. I don't know if that's all of them or not. It's so chewed up around the edge here. You can see how chewed up the edge is. You know, it's just been chewed up all over the place. So now we'll take this screw out and see what flies apart on us. Now if a snake comes out of here, I'm done. I'm over with, I'm through, I'm finished. Actually, I'm not really afraid of snakes, but it wouldn't surprise me there'd be one in here. I'm going to mark this just because I can. as this being the front, I'm just going to put a black mark on here and a black mark on here that this is the front of this. That way we'll kind of know, or the neck end of it, or however you want to think of it. Ah, it came out. So I guess I got all the nails. Well, we have another passenger here, another fly. He looks like he's seen better days. This whole thing has just been, you know, wrinkled and messed up. I don't know if I can do anything with that or not. Not thinking I'm going to try too hard. I'm going to just maybe put that back in there just the way it came out, and hope and pray it doesn't rattle too much. This thing here seems like my problem with my neck. It might be the poorest neck attachment system I've ever seen in all my years of doing this. It looks like that tang just goes straight into the heel of the neck, and then it's just screwed down right there, which has no way of tightening the neck. The only thing I could do there is, if I loosen this, is put a shim under this to tilt the neck down. That might work. I just don't know. It's not pretty. Never seen one like that before, ever. Maybe you haven't either. Welcome to my world, where the odd, mysterious craziness happens all the time. There are nails everywhere through this rim. I mean, like everywhere. When I say everywhere, I am not kidding you. They are everywhere. Right here alone, I'd say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I may have got all those. There's 5 in that space right there. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. Not doing too good on these 2. They're really close together. I think they're sticking out through the bottom down here. That's part of the problem. Yep, I got one of them poked up just a little bit. Maybe I can get a hold of it. There's 4. So there's 5 just in that one little spot. Let me do another public service announcement. The next time you get the urge to drive a piece of steel into your instrument, fight it with all your being. Driving nails into acoustic instruments is generally not thought of to be a good practice. In fact, I'd say it's a rather bad practice. There's more nails in this guitar than I think there are in my house. Well, I just kept pulling nails off camera there, and then I pulled this thing out, and I would call that the tip of, say, some of these, you know, high-end compasses where you can adjust the tip. That's what that looks like. It doesn't look like a nail. That may actually be the most valuable thing on this instrument. I'm just kidding, just kidding. I guess whoever did all this work, you could say he nailed it. There's no question about that. He definitely nailed it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you how many nails I pulled out now. A whole bunch. I would say in the neighborhood of 20. Let's see what happens when we loosen up this can of worms. Will the neck just pull off of this thing? I kind of think it might. Wouldn't surprise me. And in a way, I kind of hope that's what happens. But it couldn't be that easy. But the whole thing's loose. You can feel it moving. It definitely is part of the neck. It's just that the fingerboard seems to be attached up here somehow. I was kind of hoping that wouldn't be the case. Just curious if I give it a little light tap with the plastic hammer here. See if it will actually come loose. Doesn't seem like it. You can see as I lift up and down on the neck like this, that this is going up and down. So my only thought is to push down on this, put a shim under here, put the screw back in, and pretend like I didn't see it. And I kind of think that's the best practice in this case. The other problem is that this is really a ski ramp, as we pointed out earlier. You know, the fact that this is just way underbowed, and there is no fixing that I can see, unless you take it completely apart and redo all of that. And I don't think he wants to spend that kind of money. I could be wrong, because this is a decent little instrument. It's kind of cool. I wish it was a little better shape. and that so many folks that really didn't have a clue what they were doing worked on it. If that was not the case, this wouldn't be a bad little instrument. As I start to insert a shim here, I look and see and there's another shim already there. So somebody else already had this idea. Yeah, and my little shim isn't going to be enough. I'm going to need a thicker shim. This part here is thicker. I might be able to use that part. I'm going to look down this now and see what that looks like. And I hold it up and I'm looking down the neck. That actually looks pretty good. Doesn't look too terribly bad. So I probably want just a little bit thicker shim than this to make it look a little bit better yet. So I'll measure this and make another shim that's maybe 20 thousandths thicker than this and see what that looks like. I made me a shim that's about 88 thousandths of an inch thick, and it fits right in there real well. It pushes that neck down. It makes this just as tight as it can be right here. I just don't know if it'll hold, but that's the way it is right now. I'm going to take a drill that will fit this hole, one that's actually a little loose perhaps, and I'll check it against this screw. In fact, that's probably the best thing to do, is check and make sure you can see threads on both sides, and I can. So I'll use this to drill through my little shim. So we'll drill down through the little shim there, and we'll put the screw back in. What I'm going to do then is, after I get this screwed back in here, is I'm going to cut the shim off, but I wanted to wait till I get this all screwed down. It looks like that's still real tight. I don't think you're going to get anything in that crack right now. Once the strings are on it, that may be a different situation, but right now it's very tight. And I'll just saw my shim off where it's even with the end of this, and no one will know there's a shim there. That way it looks just like it did look. I'm debating because there's a lot of junk on top of here. There's been some glue and junk. So now I'm debating on how to clean this up because it's kind of a mess. I don't think I can put it back together looking the way it looks. I'll just have to go around here and clean up all the junk and just get it flat and smooth. It looks to me like, in addition to the nails, that at different times they've bedded it in glue or epoxy or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to scrape it down to flat wood. I just like to have a good level playing surface to start with. Set all the bumps, because like right here, this huge buildup of glue. You typically want these good and flat and level, making good contact everywhere. This one's so chowdered up that that's unlikely anyway, but no reason not to try, I guess. Like I said, I'll show you what it looks like when I get through this. I hope I will anyway. Maybe I'll get through it. Well, I missed a nail and my end of my chisel found it though. So didn't have to worry about that. We found it. I guess that's the last nail. I think I might have it down to bare wood now, down to the rim. Well, there's what she looks like cleaned up. There's some delamination in places here. I can't see why I wouldn't put some glue in there and clamp that up. Might as well do that. So I'll take my little tool here and poke it down in the crack and open this up. Squeeze the glue down in there. Work it down in there, hopefully. Probably have to get a paintbrush, as usual. That looks like that's the only place where it's really come loose, so I guess I'll just let that set for an hour and we'll move on after that. While this is setting up drying, I thought I might as well turn my attention to making a better saddle for this. The saddle that was in there just really doesn't cut the mustard. I believe this one's going to work much better. And so what I'm going to do is, this is a piece of deer antler, and I'm going to make it in 2 pieces like it was intended. I will draw this angle on here and just extend it up. And we'll cut this piece and put it in here. This is the treble side, because this is where the neck goes. And so I'll cut that and we'll stick it in there. Welcome to the Julia Childs channel, where we make soufflés. I'm going to make today a silk purse out of a sow's ear. That is really what I'm trying to do here. This is such a mess. I am going to try to take this little burnishing tool, it's a leather burnishing tool, and I'm going to try to burnish this back down to flat and get rid of the wrinkles and the junk in here. We really are trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, and that's the truth. So, you know, I've got this flat spot on the table here. This Formica is really flat and smooth. And I'm just taking this burnishing tool and trying to rub all the wrinkles out of this so that it sits flat. And then like where this metal is folded over, like it's literally folded over right here, I'm going to try to straighten all those little folds and, you know, all the little problems, and I'm going to try to fix them all. Yeah, it would be easier just to get a new cone. Do you know where you can get this particular cone? Because I don't. So I'm starting in this round area, trying to round it back out like it used to be. And then I'm thinking I'll try to flatten this outer rim once I get the inside here back to about where it used to be. This is some very thin aluminum. You might think it's thicker than it is. It's not very thick. It's pretty easy to straighten it out with this and bend it. I don't know what to do about this down in here, or if I should even try. I'm trying to get it back in the shape it used to be in, and not in this beat up, wrinkled up shape. Yeah, and some places where it's really got these hard wrinkles like this, that's going to be very difficult to do, so I don't know. I almost need a form to beat it on, you know, to mash it on and smooth it on. I'm making improvements though. I'm pretty sure it's better than it was already, and even though it's not great. This part here, I don't even see an original part to go to, so I don't know how it was originally. I kind of think it was a flat bottom, right? This little flat bottom right here is what I think it used to be. But I don't know that I'll ever get it back to that. I wish I had a circle that was the exact size of that to mash that down with, and maybe I can use the guitar itself. I don't know. Turn it upside down and mash this edge around flat. Maybe I can do that in the guitar. I don't know. At least this rim around here now is fairly consistent and fairly smooth. You can kind of rub your finger through that channel now and you don't really feel anything. It's nice and smooth and even. You can see it's sitting pretty flat. It's not wobbling around, you know, so I've got it pretty flat. Once that rim gets finished gluing up there on the guitar, I'll see if I can't set this in there and work on it that way. Okay, that's all I can do for right now until I try putting it in the guitar. The next thing I'm going to work on while everything's drying is this thing. It's got a lot of little, you know, whoopties and wrinkles and dents and just a lot of junk. Just abused. Got my plastic hammer here, and I've got this block of wood, and I'm going to go to town straightening it out. That looks real good. Right through here it's a little dished. This is fairly good here, but this side's a little dished. I just see a patent number here. I don't know if I can read the whole thing. It looks like 1872633. So if anyone wants to look that up and put it in the comments. That looks way better. Now this part here is still real wrinkled and bent and dented up. So that's going to take a little bit of extra special handling to fix that. I'm not exactly sure what the best way would be to fix that. I've got an idea. I'll give it a shot here in just a minute. As you can see, I have a little block of wood here. I took the Dremel tool and routed out a little bit of a channel there, and that's to accept this little lip that's on this hole here. It's kind of a, oh, I don't know what you call that. I can't think it now, right now. But anyway, it's you know, protrudes down through there, so I needed a place to put that, and I made a little channel there in the wood, and now I can flatten this out and kind of bring it back to the shape it used to be. Looks pretty good. That's definitely better. You can still see a little bit of a bump or two in it, but I don't know that we'll ever get it perfect, but it's way better than it was. I really need to tap it from this other side now in a place or two, and I think I'll just have to get me a little stick, a little dowel, and tap it. Maybe just a little piece of wood, kind of round it on the end there, a little piece of wood that I can just kind of put it in places and tap down on it on this hard cable to get rid of that little bump. That's probably as good as it'll get. It's not perfect by any stretch. You know, it's actually, I think the whole thing's lifted up a little bit more than it should be. I can kind of see it in the corners. It's kind of tore. But boy, putting it back in that shape, I'm not just sure how to go about that. And I'm not sure exactly what that used to look like anyway. So probably better off just leaving well enough alone on that part. There's a little dent right here. I think we're just going to have to call that good enough. It's got a little bit of a non-flatness to it, but that's why this gets screwed down. I don't think that'll be a problem. It looks like it fits pretty flat to the table. I don't see any place where it's lifted, so I think we're fine there. I'm not going to worry about that. But I will try to clean this up some and show you what it looks like. So there's your before, and I'll show you the after I hand polish it with some semichrome. I'm not sure how this will show up in the video. It doesn't seem to show up all that well, but this area here has been cleaned. This area is not. So this side's dull. This side's a little shinier. You can see it. I think you can tell there's a difference, but it's not huge, but I think it's worth doing. You can see a lot of creeping crud coming off of this thing as I do this, but I was hoping it would be a little bit shinier, you know, just to look real chromy looking, but it's just not looking that much like the shiny chrome. Now, of course, keep in mind this is nickel plated. This is not chrome plated. I realize that. So nickel plating never is quite as shiny as the chrome plating that they use these days. And you can see the nickel plating is worn off here in quite a few places. So you know, it's reasonably shiny. At least it's fairly clean now. This is going to be yet another story. Wondering if it fits a certain way better, because it doesn't seem to fit all that great. There it is. It fits real good right that way, so I guess that's the way it's going. I'm not too sure I'm going to do anything about those edges. I would like to, but I don't know. Maybe I will with this tool here. I can burnish it down with the other end of this round end, and then again there's pieces that are folded over, and I would like to unfold them. this is actually working better than I thought it would on the burnishing part. It's sitting in there pretty darn flat and level. I'm kind of amazed. I'm going to just call that good enough. I'm not going to put the nails back, that's for sure. And of course we've got to put the spider back in here. I'm just looking at it just to see if it looks like everything's going to line up. It looks like it will without hitting anything. Well, I have worked on this until I've got everything perfectly flat. The cone is sitting perfectly flat and the spider is sitting perfectly flat. So now we just got to put the screw back in it and we'll start setting this thing back. It's Thursday morning and I'm still working on Mr. Stewart's instruments. Caleb deserted the sinking ship and took off to his home in the Kansas City area, so he left me with the instruments that he had started, and I just put the strings on this uke just this morning here, just now, and it's a little ugly looking, so I'm going to see if I can't make it look a little bit better. I'll just try a little bit of touching up with some of this dark brown stain just to get rid of some of the discolorations and things. It won't be perfect by any stretch, but it might look a little better rather than all of this mess here. You can see there's quite a difference there where I'm putting the dye versus all these other areas. It'll look a little bit better here, I think, in a minute. It won't match perfectly, but you know, all these scratches don't match all that well either, so there you go. That's the way I look at it. It'll get rid of the scratches and not make them show up so much. To me, looks a whole lot better than it did down there. This area up here kind of needs the same treatment, and I'm just going to again just take this dark, it's just dark brown. Now keep in mind this particular brush probably had some black residue left in it, so that's helping probably match it a little bit better. That looks pretty darn good to me, if you ask me, compared to what it looked like a minute ago. I'll keep touching this up and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm finished. The back of this needs a lot of touch up too, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah, that makes it look better. I don't know if I should do it up here at the neck area or not. I guess I probably could, I guess. That's much better. I'm going to go around and touch up some more spots and we'll show you the final product here. The other little uke is pretty much finished. This uke here needed quite a bit of work. Caleb apparently repaired this top. It was in many pieces, and he made a ring here to go around the sound hole, and I think he's re-glued these braces, and you know, I think he had to remove this top, and it looks like he's done some repairs on the back. And I mean, this thing was in really bad shape. It's really obvious how bad it was. The bridge is off of it still. I've been cleaning up the area here so that I can put the top back on it. The top wasn't lining up very well, so I have removed a little bit of wood here at the neck joint to allow the top to slide in there a little bit closer and finish and make the sides match up, because they wouldn't match up. And that looks pretty good. I think we're just about there. The other thing is the neck needs to be tilted down as I glue this on, I think. Anyway, it's going to be a tricky one, so I guess I'll get started. I've got glue spread around on this, so I'm going to stick the top on here and kind of hope for the best, really, is about what I'm doing. It looks like it's going to line up pretty good, but to be perfectly truthful, not perfect. Now I just got to get some clamps. I guess I'll just go ahead and use guitar violin type clamps on this. These clamps hold really well in terms of putting pressure on, but they slide off very easy, partly because of the leather that's on there. It's one of those catch-22 situations, just like everything with instruments. You get one benefit on one side and you get a negative on the other side, so you just kind of have to weigh the two and decide which way to go. That's kind of the way it is with everything on instruments. It really is that way. Very rarely just have one way to go with something and turns out that it's perfect, you know. You usually have a bazillion options. I think that's good enough. I think that's going to work. The neck angle on this is not real good, but I think it'll probably be okay. I may as well go ahead and glue the bridge on here while it's sitting here, because there's not much reason to wait. Probably just glue it back where it was, though I will measure it just to see if it looks like that's right. Looks pretty close, so I guess we'll just go with that. There's some stuff on there that I wish I'd have seen before I clamped this all up, but I think I can clean it off. Just use a small chisel, get in here, and we'll try to get in here, let's say it that way. It's not exactly easy to get in there. I think that looks pretty good. It kind of has a little spot there where it just kind of fits back in there and locks in place. I think that's going to work out fine. Now I got to find me a clamp that'll fit that pretty well. I don't do a lot of ukulele work, so even though I'm used to doing lots of bridges, this one's a little unique for me. Again, this is the deal where you try not to have any dead air space. You want everything coated very well. It just locks right in. It's just got a little spot there where it fits. So that's good. See if I can't clean up a little bit of the squeeze out there, and then we'll clamp her up. I could put a little deal on there if this clamp will still fit or not. I don't know if these will fit with anything extra on there. And in fact, I'm not sure I can get them down through the hole even there. Got a lot of factors working against you on something like this. I think I'm just going to use leather. I'm not worried about the inside too much, what I'm clamping against, which is pretty much just the top. Kind of have to open them up all the way just to get them in there, and then close them back up to get it to work. That looks pretty darn good. I can see a pretty even squeeze out all the way across. I don't know if it'll be possible. I don't have any more clamps that size. I don't know if it'll be possible to get this one in the middle, but if I can get it in the middle, I'm going to. I'll look around and see if I have anything else that would work. It's kind of a tricky little clamp job. The two will probably be fine because I can see glue squeeze out all the way across, so it's probably fine, but I'm just trying to get a little extra if I can. I doubt this would fit it. It might. I'll try it, but I don't think this is going to work. It won't hurt nothing, so we'll just do that. And it's got rubber on it too, so that's even better. There you go. You can't do it much better than that. Here's the third uke that we've got in the shop here. This one's a little bigger one. I think you call these a baritone uke or something. I'm going to pull this piece of tape on here that someone put on here to hold the back together. Definitely that needs some TLC there. First, I think I'll take a little bit of this lighter fluid, which I think is just paint thinner, because I'm pretty sure that's what I put in here. And just get rid of the glue residue first, the sticky stuff. And I'm trying not to get this down in the crack. I'm just wiping the surface with this. I can see the problem here. We're going to have to, this isn't going to go back together. This is a CA glue job, I can tell, and we'll just have to make it work however it turns out. That's kind of the way this is. It's not that wide of a crack, but there is a crack. So what I'm going to try to do is, I'll have a couple of pieces of plastic here that I can hold it together as close as I can get it together, and try to put a little accelerator on it also. What I do on these is I put it on there, wipe it off, try to hold it together, and get a little accelerator on there. The truth is, it probably didn't hold. The first time it almost never does. This, like I said, CA glue, it's bad and good. The good part about CA glue is it sticks to itself better than it sticks to anything else. So the first time when it doesn't work, you go back over it again, and it usually does work the second time. Unfortunately, the second time it usually works much faster because of the accelerator that I put on there the first time. And unfortunately, it left a little bit of a mess on the back there. Little glue residue, but we might be able to clean some of that up too. But that did lock it in place that time. It's locked in. I'm going to try to fill the crack a little bit more now this time. Yeah, it's really tough. This CA glue stuff is, you can really ruin an instrument in a hurry with this stuff if you're not careful. Now what I'm going to try to do, and I don't know, I may give up on this, but I'm going to try to pick off the glue that's on the surface without touching the surface. Little 600 here. This has got a matte finish on it, so I'm thinking this will blend it back in pretty good. It's at least fixed. It's not broke there anymore. It doesn't look perfect, but it doesn't look bad either. You know, it's just is what it is. You know, you got a crack like that, you got to do what you got to do. And it wasn't going to close up, that's for sure. This front here is kind of messed up too, and there's a bunch of finish missing right here, and the wood's chipped. I'm basically going to just see if the CA glue can replace the finish where this is all chipped out. That CA glue just will never, ever, and I repeat, never, ever do what you want it to do. It will always do something opposite of what you want. I'm trying to get it to run around in these spots, and it just goes anywhere but there. And that's just pretty much CA glue. That's, if you ever use it, be very careful, because you need to understand it won't do what most glues do. That's just about got it filled in. Hopefully it'll dry and level out and fill in that finish, because that finish is definitely all busted out. There's chipped out wood right there and it's not level. I'm going to get way back and mist it from way back with this accelerator. Really far back, and just barely let it touch it. That'll make it set up a lot faster. Shouldn't turn white because I put so little on it and I waited long enough. Well, that doesn't look perfect, but to my eye it looks better. Definitely, because now it's got a finish over that bare wood and the splinters, because that was actually splintery. You could actually get a splinter from that, I think. Not now, it's smooth now. This here looks like maybe Caleb or somebody might have re-glued that. I don't know. It's been re-glued with a wood glue. It's not completely full. I wish it's not tight either, and I don't think it's going to go tight. Yeah, I don't know. I'm tempted to put a little glue on that CA glue, because you can hear me move my finger across that, I think. And maybe we can smooth it out just a little bit. Yeah, you can still feel it a little bit, but you probably can't hear it as much as you could hear it before. It's still there, but it's not as bad as it was for sure. And the CA glue kind of filled in the crack that was there still. So I think that's pretty good. See, you can tell it's solid again. I don't hear anything loose now. I don't really know if this thing needed anything else. I'm going to try to get a hold of Caleb by text and see if there's anything else it needs. Well, my friends, old Jerry Stewart, he's just full of surprises. Look what he pulled out of his case there now. He's got a Les Paul look-alike ukulele. Isn't that pretty cool? Yeah, you just don't see them like that. Pretty cool.
Strap. My wife made.
And it's got electric pickup there and everything. And he said his wife made this beautiful strap. I mean, that's beautiful. Beads. It's made out of beads. Yeah. Wow, it's really heavy too. It's even got his name on there. Look at that. Pretty cool. Well, that's beautiful. That's a nice looking little.
Yeah, that's my newest little instrument. I gotta figure out what
the peg head there even says Les Paul, and that's pretty cool. I thought you'd get a kick out of seeing that. This little uke's been sitting for about 3 to 4 hours. I'm sure it's plenty dry to go ahead and finish it up. Even though we glued the bridge on, I don't think the bridge will be in any danger of coming loose. I don't think there's that much tension on a uke, and with nylon strings to boot. Well, Jerry Stewart just keeps surprising me. He brought so many instruments I can't even keep count. Look at this one. But this is a really cool looking Autoharp. I have never seen one like this. It's a handmade one, you said,
handmade,
right?
Ron Wall, yeah.
Ron Wall.
In Arkansas.
Yeah, in Arkansas. I'll be darned. It is really a cool instrument. It's got a little bit of a problem. It's a very sturdy round frame, but the top has got a big underbow in it. And my theory, and it's just a theory, is that it's solid spruce. Well, it's somehow or another maybe it wasn't dry enough when they built it, or maybe the environment changed so much that this piece of wood expanded and it didn't have any place to go, so it went down. That's my theory. The wood expanded, and whenever anytime a piece of wood expands, it's going to go somewhere, and it can't really go up very easily. So it basically went down in this case. I don't think it's a pressure thing because the pressure is at this end, and the top's done this. I do not think it has anything to do with the strings because the strings are anchored to this very solid frame around here, just kind of like on a piano. But anyway, it's pretty cool. It's got all these handmade buttons even. It's really a nice looking outfit. It's a shame that the top had to sink in like that, but boy, it's beautiful. It really is a nice looking instrument. And that's not all. Look at this thing. Another one I've never seen before. It's a lap dulcimer with a banjo head. My two favorite instruments put together in one thing. No, I really don't have anything against either one of them. If a guy can play them, anything makes good music, and that's what this one's really well made too. Where did you get this one?
McSpadden in Mountain View, Arkansas.
Yeah, I've heard of McSpadden down there. Yeah, I think I've even seen his shop, I think. But anyway, that's pretty. It's looks like that's made out of walnut, I guess. Mm-hmm. And the other one looks mostly like spruce, but it's got some plies in it. It's got some maple back, it looks like, on the Autoharp. Very cool instruments. I just thought you'd like to see them. I don't have to do anything to these, I don't think. We are going to do a little duet here on a little old bluegrass tune that I call the Bluegrass National Anthem. It's the one that everybody knows, if you're into bluegrass, that is. It's called the Blue Ridge Mountain Home. And it goes something like this. There's a well-beaten path on this old mountainside where I wandered when I was a lad. And I wandered alone to the place I call home in those Blue Ridge hills far away. Oh, I love those hills of Virginia. From those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. When I die, won't you bury me on the mountain far away in my Blue Ridge mountain home? Mr. Stewart. I've been longing for days gone by. When I die, won't you bury me on the old mountainside? Make my resting place up on the hill so high. Oh, I love those hills, oh Virginia. From those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. When I die, won't you bury me on the mountain far away? I think the camera cut out just as I was finishing our song, and anyway, I just wanted to tell you that was fun picking that tune with Mr. Stewart, and then right after that, he gave me this banjo. He said, "You can just have this." And apparently, the neck and the pot are separate, but you know, it could be turned into a banjo, I believe, a banjo mandolin or whatever you want to call that. So. Anyway, thank you for that, Mr. Stewart.
You're welcome, yeah.
He's testing out the last uke that I put back together for him. Caleb did most of the work on this one. What kind is this one?
It's an Aquila.
Aquila.
Aquila, yeah.
Yeah.
Really antique old.
Yeah, it looks like a really old one. It was in a lot of parts. I didn't try tuning it myself. I figured I'll just let the master tune it.
Yeah. I'm as free as a breeze, and I'll do as I please, just bumming around. I got an old slouch hat, I got my bags on my shoulder. I'm as free as a breeze, and I'll do as I please, just bumming around. Whenever worries start to bothering me, I get my old round coat, my old slouch hat, I hit the trail again, you see. I ain't got a dime. Come on. I ain't got a dime. I don't know where I'm going. I'm as free as the breeze, and I'll do as I please, just bumming around.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. The strings are stretching like crazy.
Yeah, I bet you they are. After you just take them apart and you put them back together, they always stretch. Well, I certainly hope you've enjoyed all the instruments that Mr. Stewart brought. I thank him for coming here. He's been a real gentleman, and he came all the way from Virginia, right?
That's right, Manassas, Virginia.
That's why we did the Blue Ridge Mountain Home, because it talked about Virginia in there. Well, I enjoyed having you here, so thank you so much for bringing all those instruments. You made me work. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.